This is my RuneScape account, and I've accumulated hundreds of days of playtime over the past 20 years, so you think I'd be pretty damn good at this game. Well, just last week I was in a last man standing game, where the guy said to me,
"How can someone who plays so much still be so shit?"
And that hurt, mostly because it's true. You see, RuneScape for me has always been a second monitor game, a happy bit of nostalgia while I do literally anything else. So I'm on a mission to finally get good at this game, and to make sure I don't get distracted, I'll be strapping all things RuneScape directly to my eyeballs with my VR headset. And I've devised a 3-step plan to finally escape the mid-game and take on RuneScape's hardest challenge. So step 1 is to return to the crime scene where I got absolutely burnt, and I'm gonna get involved in some risk-free PvP. Now this is kind of the battle royale of RuneScape, where 24 players spawn on the map and the map slowly shrinks until just one player remains. And my goal here is to be that last player and get 30 LMS wins to bring my total tally to 50. Not only will this get me some good starting GP, but hopefully it will also train me to remain calm under pressure, get faster at gear switching, and better at reacting to different situations. Now while this should be player versus player, that's not actually quite true. You see, LMS is infested with bots. In reality, of the 24 players, I would say about 17 of them are bots. Then there's you, then there's 4 Iron Man that are struggling just as much as you are, and then 2 absolute PvP gods that will freeze you and stand under you, all while hurling verbal abuse, and I'm gonna need to beat all of them if I plan on getting any wins. So my plan for the LMS games is pretty simple. Basically spec out the bots next to me, go to the loot chest with the bloody keys, and hopefully get some very nice upgrades. But by the time I was coming to any sort of PK, man, I was just absolutely eating it. This guy here hit a massive 42 with an AGS, and game after game, I was just dead.
LOL. Yoob.
But on game 7, we were down to the final 2. I saw that they were playing melee, so I used the javelin special on him, but unfortunately hit a 0. I did, however, manage to walk up and get a nice declaw spec off prayer, and the tempo was in my favor. And as the fight continued, I saw this guy was pretty slow at changing his prayer and was camping the dark bow, so I was liking my chances on this one. And this fight went on for quite some time before it finally got juicy towards the end. I popped a vengeance, the dude pulled out the AGS for a little whack, and with the vengeance javelin combo, we managed to get our first win. Just look at that excitement. And just a few games later, this guy was getting the better of me, but while RuneScape has a lot of skill, there is also room for a lot of luck. And I managed to get the AGS out and smash him for a 55. Couldn't quite believe it. Definitely did not deserve that win, but we were down to the final 2 once again. And then we were versing this guy in the final, and he not only broke my ankles, but seemed to snap them off and eat them for breakfast, and got off one of the coolest combos I've ever seen in game. But unfortunately, I was the victim of this one. Coming back for the afternoon session, and once again I was hitting the floor. One game I was doing a drive-by and I saw this guy Tidy Bag get a very nice KO, so I decided to book it in the opposite direction. Now this is a 1 defense match, so normally is an instant loss for me. The damage just comes out so fast and I'm just a little too slow. But I'd collected a few nice spec weapons, including the Kodai, the Vesta Longsword, and the Armador Crossbow. And when scanning the outer perimeter, I found what thought to be a bot, but quickly realized it was not. He got the freeze on me and stood under me, and I could see that he was praying against range, so I whipped out that Vesta Longsword and hit him for a 42. You love to see it. And now we were down to the top 2, and this time we would be taking on Tidy Bag from earlier. This was quite an even fight, both of us getting roughly the same amount of prayers right, and both a little slow with our clicks. Just what I like. At one point he got a DDS on me off prayer, and I was very lucky to survive that. Probably should have been dead for sure. But here my Armador Crossbow was putting in work, and I was just waiting for him to switch prayers so that I could change to that devastating Vesta Longsword, and when he did, I was ready for the special attack, a 38, and why not one more to finish him off? Looked like he went for the pot DDS, so respect for him for the risk. At this point I stopped counting games, because games turn to hours and hours turn to days. I battled not only the sweatiest of PvPers, but I also fought the treachery of carpal tunnel and a newfound energy drink addiction. I had many close calls, many times getting slapped around, and quite a few wins. Then the coming of the 3rd day, at dawn I looked to the east and I saw my final competitor. A bot. So happy with myself, I hovered with my mouse cursor and left clicked and watched as my 50th and final victory was upon me. I massively enjoyed phase 1 of the plan, and this was probably the most fun I've ever had actively playing RuneScape. One of the best parts about LMS is that I could cash in my rewards at the reward shop, and here I put mine towards 2 massive upgrades for the account, which are Rigor and Augury. And yes, I did nearly max my combat stats without these prayers. What can I say? I'm a Nightmare Zone boy. Now with these 2 prayers unlocked, I'm heading to the gauntlet, and my mission here is to complete 20 normal gauntlets and 1 corrupted gauntlet, which is the harder version. Right now my kill count for both is 0. Here I'm hoping to learn more about movement, prayer flicking, and getting through the prep in a timely manner. Essentially what happens is you spawn into a randomly generated map with just a few tools at your disposal. You have 10 minutes in the regular gauntlet and 7.5 in the corrupted to explore, catch some food, gather resources, and craft some powerful weapons and armor because you sure will need it. Once the time is up, you'll have to head in and take on the Hunlif, who uses a combination of different attacks. I watched one video guide on it and I think I understood the basics, but once I got in there I was very overwhelmed. Everything is the same color and it is very hard to see anything, and with that timer ticking down I felt beads of sweat form within my headset. In fact, with just 10 seconds to go I still hadn't cooked my food yet, but ready or not, here we go. And yeah, I think I'll do the favor of fast forwarding this clip because it is probably the most scuffed Hunlift fight ever recorded. But somehow we did manage to get him down and take our first ever gauntlet KC on the first try, and I was feeling pretty good about myself, so I ran it straight back and got another KC. For the next few sessions I camped the crap out of this place and got a lot better in prep, consistently getting tier 2 armor and 2 tier 3 weapons. This made the boss pretty damn easy, and on the second day I got my 20th kill. I was now a gauntlet veteran, although I definitely did not feel like it. So there was only one thing to do, and that was to move on to the corrupted version. Now the corrupted version is a completely different story. Not only do you have less time to prep, but the Hunlif himself has more HP, and once he reaches his enrage, wow, the floor is lava and changing all the time. There's 4 tornadoes chasing you around the map, and you better not walk under him because he'll stomp your ass for a 40. Same goes if you mess up any prayers, which by the way, he changes his attack style every 4 attacks and occasionally turns your prayer off. On top of all that, he defends against certain attacks, which means you'll have to change your weapons and offensive prayers. There's also chip damage, so make sure you keep eating and keep your prayer up. This was definitely not the simple point and click adventure game that I signed up for. And I died here a lot. Some runs I would get like 20%, and then the next run I would mess up all the prep and just die straight away. I found the red just way harder to see anything during prep, and all in all I was just not enjoying my time. My hard drive was becoming completely full of me dying, and after quite a few sessions of hitting the wall, I decided to do 1 regular run, maybe go for some combat achievements, and then 1 corrupted attempt. And finally we did manage to get him down. Now unfortunately I didn't have the recording going, but if we walk over and check the scores, we can see 30 regular completions with 5 deaths and that magic number 1 corrupted kill with a massive 22 deaths. And with these 2 capes, we were now ready for the biggest challenge of all. And if you thought it would be the Infernal Cape or the New Colosseum, then you were wrong. This channel is really about having fun with video games, and if there is any way to use gamification to improve yourself, whether that be through learning new skills or fitness, then I am all for it. And VR is just such a great tool for this. So for my final challenge, I present RuneScape, but it's the worst home workout ever. Now the rules are quite simple. I have to complete 5 tasks in RuneScape, but while I'm completing them, I also have to do a corresponding physical task. So the first task is strength training, and here I have to slay 50 cows. But for every cow that gets destroyed, I will also be destroying my chest with 1 push-up. And here we managed to get ourselves through this task okay, as you can see on the loot tracker on the side. Up next was range, and I would be using a band for a back opener. I figured you kind of pull on a bowstring and you pull on a band. Yep, definitely not my finest work, but we would be doing this just across the road and slaying some chickens. And to be honest, this actually felt great and something I know I should be doing a lot more of. Then we headed over to Camelot to train some rooftop agility, and here we'd have to complete 10 laps while training some IRL agility by running on the spot. This one definitely got the heart rate up quite a bit, but the hardest part was actually clicking on the agility obstacles. You might be wondering about my inventory. Yes, up next is construction, and we'll be doing mahogany homes. But with one major difference, I would have to hold a plank from the moment I pick up a contract to the moment I see that final XP drop. Get it? Plank? Yeah, I was pretty proud of that one, or so I thought, because when you're struggling with misclicks, this is just so mentally punishing, and this was by far the most difficult task in this challenge. Holding 5 1 to 2 minute planks was just something my core was not prepared for. And for the final task, we have prayer. Here I'll be offering 3 full loads of bones to the Chaos Altar, and for every prayer XP drop, I'll have to do 1 squat. The Chaos Altar has a special effect that when you offer bones, you have a 50% chance of saving them. So for the first time in my life, I was praying to Zamorak that my bones would be used up so I could get through these squats as fast as possible. And if I get PK'd with any bones on me at any point, I will have to do 50 punishment squats at the the end. And unfortunately for me, that happened literally straight away. So I hopped to a UK world, which was probably the laggiest world I've ever been in, but managed to get one inventory done before finally settling on a US world and finishing up my third load. Now towards the end of this one, my legs were burning and I needed to use my hands for a bit of support, but we did manage to get it done. So as we finished up our punishment, and after 47 minutes of sweating into my headset and burning approximately 350 calories, I was finally done. Now I hear you. At the beginning of the video, I said RuneScape's hardest challenge, and while a 47-minute home workout isn't something to sneeze at, but this was only set 1 of 3. That's right, I would be heading straight back to Lumbridge and going around the circuit 2 more times. With set 2, I was kind of feeling the momentum and I made quick work of the cows, powered through the chickens, and even the lap seemed to go down okay. But oh my god, the planks absolutely wrecked me. I really struggled to get through this, but after what seemed to be an eternity, we were done with the planks and finally moving on to the wilderness squats. And I don't know what was happening, I just kept proccing the special to save bones. I guess that's lucky or unlucky depending on how you look at it, and I didn't run into any PKers. But with that all done, I had completed set 2 in 1 hour and 40 minutes, so was starting to slow down just a bit, and we had the honor of doing one more final lap. After hitting my 130th cal, I kind of hit the wall. I remember thinking to myself, it's 2 PM on a Tuesday. What the fuck am I doing in Lumbridge killing cows in VR and doing push-ups? I really need to get a job. But I managed to push all that negativity aside and come back stronger, swiftly making short work of my last kills. Back to the chickens, and to my surprise there was a dude training here, so shout out to 26 Charizard. But my cracks were starting to show. Even on the easiest task, my back and arms were screaming. And with the 150th chicken done, it was time for our final jog. And while I was happy to be finishing my 30th lap, a creeping sense of doom set in, because that means it would now be time for the planks. And I don't know about you guys, but 15 1 to 2 minute planks is just not something I have ever done in my entire life. I was getting to the point of failure every single contract, and on the 12th contract I finally caved and failed mid-attempt. I had to compose myself before completing the task. I tried to take longer breaks, but every single one of them was just absolutely torture, and it felt like my abs were gonna pop out of my stomach. Even watching this back now gives me nightmares, but somehow we did manage to pull through, and all that remained between me and a shower was 3 loads of dragon bones. And for these last 3 loads of dragon bones, all I could really do was close my eyes and squat. Watching the inventory and seeing these bones getting saved was just too mental for me. Once again, we got a clean run with no PKs. So after a massive 2 hours and 34 minutes, we were finally done with this challenge. Recording this voiceover the next day, my body is in absolute pieces, but thank you so much for coming on this journey with me, and see you next time.